Ferrari, McLaren, or Lamborghini. Supercars are simply amazing, and for many people, it would be a dream to be allowed to drive such a car one day. But sometimes, not everything goes dreamlike, even for supercar owners. Quite the opposite. Sometimes, there are also severe problems and even crashes with supercars. In this video, we will show you the most curious supercar failures of all time. You can expect, among other things, envious hooligans, crushed dream cars, and high-tech cars that solve crimes themselves. So, stay tuned here at Wonderlane. We start with number 11, and a situation that no supercar owner would like to experience. A man runs over a Lamborghini Aventador at full speed. You can clearly see the dents he leaves on the expensive car. Of course, the man is immediately pursued by the car owner, but he does not succeed in catching the brazen hooligan. What happens then is unbelievable. The man actually comes back and tries to run over the sports car again. This time, the owner manages to stop him, grabs him, and throws him to the ground. Although he was incredibly angry, the man still restrained himself and held back. We continue with number 10, and a situation that makes you wonder why anyone would do this to their car voluntarily. The driver of this Lamborghini Huracan is actually practicing donuts in the mud with his car. Even if drifting doesn't harm a sports car in general, the huge amounts of mud are not completely harmless for the car. The mud can get stuck everywhere, which is not so easy to remove with a normal car wash. On number 9, we come to a supercar fail that even involved a celebrity, and that was Prince Markus von Anhalt, who was a participant in a modball rally. While at first he was happily driving past the spectators in his McLaren SLR, it suddenly happened. In front of a huge audience, Prince Markus crashes into the Lotus Evora driving directly in front of him. Not only the spectators are shocked, but also the driver of the Lotus looks at Prince Markus in shock. We continue with number 8, and a video of Rodeo Drive in Beverly Hills in the USA. Rodeo Drive is considered the street for car spotters because you can often find the most valuable supercars here. However, very few sports car fans are as enthusiastic as this man. When he discovers a red Ferrari, he completely freaks out and starts shouting in a high-pitched voice while filming with his smartphone. The man is so conspicuous that even other road users start filming him. Let's move on to number 7, and a fail that makes you wonder if the driver of this $200,000 Lamborghini even thought for a second before taking action. On this completely flooded road, even large cars reach their limits. So, it's probably not a good idea to drive such a low-slung luxury car through the floodwaters. The Lamborghini driver did it anyway, thus turning the supercar into a submarine. At least he seems to have come out of the situation without any damage at first glance. Now, we come to number 6, and a policeman who is writing a ticket when the owner of this red supercar simply gets in and brazenly wants to drive away. Of course, the policeman doesn't put up with this impertinence on the part of the driver, because even those who own an expensive car must, of course, respect the law. So, the policeman doesn't take long to get the impudent driver out of his valuable car. What then follows is simply embarrassing for the driver. He is fixed on the ground in front of a running camera, and at that moment, he surely asks himself whether his behavior was actually a good idea. Let's continue with number 5, and the proof that modern luxury cars can even detect crimes. As this American football fan is watching a game of his favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers, he is automatically informed by the alarm system of his Tesla that there is an attempted break-in in his car. When he runs to his Tesla, he sees a big dent in the vehicle. Normally, it would be difficult to find out who is responsible for this, but the 8 integrated cameras of the Tesla have recorded a man kicking the car and causing $4,700 worth of damage. With the help of a video, it was finally possible to find the man. On number 4 is a real posing fail. In this show-off, the car owners really want to show off and show how high their jump cars can bounce. The audience was thrilled, but suddenly, the electrics of one of the cars seemed to go a bit crazy. Instead of the lowrider coming down again, the hydraulics push the car higher and higher. Suddenly, it stands vertically in the air, and then happens what had to come. The car tilts backwards, but funnily enough, the frame just stayed in the air. Now we come to number 3, and the proof that cars can be lowered too much. This sports car is actually only supposed to be unloaded from a trailer, and what would be no problem for a normal car turns into a disaster here. The sports car is so low that it sits on the ground despite all caution and suffers unsightly damage. We continue with number 2, and a supercar fail that happened to former Formula 1 driver Adrian Sutil. Adrian Sutil was the owner of this orange McLaren Senna, an 800 HP sports car that only exists 20 times in the world. By the way, this McLaren is worth $3.2 million. Although Adrian Sutil, as a former Formula 1 driver, should have enough experience to drive such a powerful car, he accidentally drove it into a power pole. Fortunately for the driver, the crash was not serious, but the expensive sports car was scrap metal and had to be taken away. On number 1, there is a video that doesn't really show a fail, but is definitely very curious. What the driver of this Camaro does with his car is just awesome. He has upgraded his car as much as he can to show the world the most intense burnout ever. The technology not only looks impressive, but also does what it's supposed to do. And you've certainly never seen a burnout like this before. These were the strangest supercar failures of all time. Tell us what your dream car is. And feel free to leave us a like and a subscription if you want to see more videos. See you next time, here at Wonderlane.